Mr. Adams, I have a very exciting opportunity for you with the EB5 investment that you asked us to look into. Given the conditions that you asked us to consider, and the fact that they're Chinese investors and the basic characteristics of Chinese investors, the fact that they're an immigrant population, we believe that the best fit for you to invest in is the Subway restaurant locations. Doctors and Associates was founded by two master's degree students who wanted a hands-off investment to make them money when they went through college. They founded Subway and it took off. The management structure at franchise locations is scripted so that the manager on site has little thinking to do. Everything has been worked out in advance. Ingredients are screened in advance of delivery from the required suppliers, and equipment and safety is specifically designed for Subway. Because of this, managers will accept low wages because they do not have a large decision-making potential. We feel that this is a good fit for recent immigrants because they will be able to focus on learning the U.S. culture while working. New Subway investors must speak to a development agent who decides where the new locations go and who gets what price for which existing locations. We will work closely with the development agents when choosing the location for our investment. This map of the top locations for Chinese immigrants to the U.S. It very closely matches the Subway restaurants available for sale. Everything will be done to make the transition as comfortable as possible for these immigrants. Being a Pittsburgh resident and knowing that there is over 100 Subways in Allegheny County, it has to be a testament to the strength of their brand that there is not one single location available for sale in all of Allegheny County right now. When we look at the locations available, it is important that we buy locations that have good economic prospects and that the Chinese investors are going to be able to have a good chance of making money at these locations because our investment is tied to their success. That's synergy. Here we have a tool, Google Maps, which I'm sure you're familiar with. We did some investigations and we can easily see the general condition of the neighborhood using this tool, and so can the Chinese investor. Here's a location in Philadelphia that looks like a pretty good location. Our idea is for you to use your international contacts to find prospects interested in coming to the United States and to pitch them this Subway idea. Just an overview of the EB5 program. There are 4 general steps that investors must complete to become permanent U.S. citizens through the EB5 program. Once these steps have been completed, EB5 investors, their spouses, and their unmarried children under the age of 21 become U.S. permanent citizens. They will also have the option to become full U.S. citizens 5 years after obtaining their permanent residency. The U.S. CIS requires that EB5 investments result in the creation of at least 10 full-time jobs for U.S. workers. These jobs must be created within the 2-year period after the investor has received their conditional permanent residency. In some of these cases, the investor must be able to prove that their investment led to the creation of direct jobs for employees who work directly with the commercial entity that received the investment. Each Subway restaurant employs 10 or more workers. Our plan has us buying both existing locations and new locations in order to spend the entire $1 million. What we're looking for is Chinese investors who want to come to the United States of America and to sell this opportunity as a great 5-year investment for them to be able to be introduced to the U.S. via Subway restaurants, which is a very successful brand name and that they may have already heard of because it's the #1 fast food chain in the world. Subway maintains its brand image through their in-house inspections, healthy food, and simple to understand food production system. This business will be a stress-free endeavor for Chinese investors. At the end of 5 years, they will be able to exit the investment by selling the restaurants, or they can retain ownership and gain the full 20% earning potential. They will know by then what the real earnings are, and they can always sell the restaurant if they need to using their Subway development agent, which we will introduce them to. With current bond market returns at 1 to 4%, Chinese investors will find this a very attractive opportunity because there's very little work that needs to happen from the Chinese investors' perspective. We estimate that the investor will need 6 locations to make this opportunity work as far as spending the $1 million. But their involvement will be limited to just visiting stores or maybe deciding when some major repairs need done, and maybe if a store manager needs to be replaced. These ideas about how Subway management works are from our long-standing experience in talking with Subway managers over the course of 10 years. These are the reasons why Subway is growing at the pace it is, because it's such a safe environment. The Subway on-site general manager takes care of all the day-to-day business oversight. Mr. Adams, from an overall perspective, we're not asking you to contribute hardly any of the capital for this investment. You need only cover the legal expenses. If you want a hands-off investment, you will also need somebody to oversee the investment, which we're willing to do for $30,000 per investor per year. Your return per investor will be extremely high. Here's our estimates of your potential returns. Again, the key is finding a Chinese investor who has $1 million who wants to immigrate to the U.S., and all you need to do is to facilitate the transaction. If you can do this, you'll be making returns in excess of 200% on anything that you put into this investment. If you can find multiple EB5 immigrant opportunities, you'll be able to execute this investment again and make the same amount of money again. If you do this with 5 to 10 investors, you could easily make $300,000 or $400,000 a year for facilitating these immigrations. Here's the overall breakdown. A conservative investment is based upon a 15% return on sales, but the returns could be higher, as many Subways make around 20% return on their sales. Again, here's one more look at the business plan. We have an investor who has $1 million that we will invest with the help of a Subway development agent to purchase 5 to 8 store locations depending on the price of each one. The Subway locations typically cost between $116,000 to $262,000 for each location, depending on the size. Let's do a little bit more breakdown on these numbers. As you can see, most of the cost of opening a Subway restaurant is in the leasehold improvements. On a brand new build out, about half the cost will go to brand new equipment. This is very standardized and cheap compared to other fast food retailers. It's a very simple operation. No hoods, no elaborate expensive cooking equipment, no highly skilled workers. Simple. As far as the external environment, our strategic advantage versus other fast food restaurants is the brand vitality of Subway, especially in the fast-growing, health-conscious consumer market. It is currently the fastest growing U.S. food chain in the world, which has achieved this by having an optimal variety and needs and access-based positions. In terms of variety, the Subway offers a wide range of menu options. In terms of needs-based positioning, Subway's menu is affordable and nutritious. In terms of access-based positioning, Subway has so many locations and is so familiar and available to everyone. Our internal strategy with regards to the way that we have selected opportunity has a strong variety-based position in that we can purchase Subway restaurants in many possible locations. in any of the major metropolitan areas. Also, our strategy has strong needs-based positioning for the EB5 investors. It is a stable investment which gives the EB5 investor guaranteed ability to recoup their capital in 5 years and provides an employment opportunity that will help them learn about the U.S. culture. Here's our SWOT analysis as far as the overall future outlook of this investment. The strengths are that this is an easy to understand and that Subway is recognizable to investors. Investors only have to put in a few hours of work each week for the investment to be successful, especially when you look at who the investments are in the U.S., mostly professionals with other employment. Weaknesses with this plan are that the investors are Chinese and may not be familiar with individual neighborhoods and locations. There are locations that have high turnover and difficulty in maintaining reliable business. The opportunities are we're relying on the brand recognition of Subway and capitalizing on the value of U.S. citizenship. We have a lot more flexibility in choosing franchise locations because the average U.S. investor's location choice is dictated by their job, where we can pick up and choose our region. As far as threats go, one of the biggest threats is that if Subway gets wind of our plan, they may try and cut us out of the deal and do this on their own. But we are hoping that your contacts in China will give us an advantage and we can work around this threat. Subway won't have access to these investors. That's on our side. Another threat for us is that we don't know the status of all the locations until we send people to talk to the development agents. We need to try and pick the best operating locations. We need to ensure that we do our due diligence on each site. Another threat to us is that if Subway has an international scandal or trends move away from healthy menus options or costs of certain key ingredients skyrocket, then Subway will be less desirable to the average consumer, and thus our investment will also go down. It's tied to one company. But given conditions today, we don't think that this will happen anytime in the next 20 years. Thank you for your time, sir, and we hope to be working with you in the near future. Let us know if we can answer any of your questions. Thank you so much, and have a great day.